King Biscuit Power Hour.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
First podcast formatted.
Check.
And they would ask for volunteers, and both deployments that I went on, I volunteered to go. It was supposed to be a 3-month deployment, and it ended up being a 5-month deployment because we actually lost the front of our ship. The ramp fell off to the bottom of the ocean during one of our training missions.
Off at Jabra Air Force Base and had to figure out how to get back to Kuwait, or to the actual out processing camp in Kuwait, and make it back home.
I walked into his living room and just collapsed on the living room floor. They woke me up like 10 hours later, and I started drinking and left and was like, "Hey, nice to meet you," and left.
Yeah, Doc came in for me, and when he got there, I said, "Damn, took you long enough, Doc." And then he looked down at me and said, "You're a little cooler than you were the first time you got hit." Yeah. The first time I got hit, I was so close to blast and burn me, and I thought I'd been hit with white phosphorus.
Man, don't worry about things you can't control. Yeah. You know, if you have no control over it, don't worry about it. I mean, you're able to cope a little bit better. And I know that's a hard pill for some people to swallow, and I get it. I totally get it. But it's worked. It's worked for me.
We need each other. This is the only way that we'll beat this 22 a day, is having each other's backs. And
saying is that didn't know what was going on. Just went back to sleep. And when I woke up in Walter Reed, I had the staff there and the nurses telling me how lucky I was. And I was like, "Yeah, what are you talking about?" And they're like, "Well, an IED and then a helicopter crash." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, your medevac actually got shot down. It took fire, made it actually onto Balad Airfield before it crashed." And I'm like, "Yeah, wild, dude. Are you sure? Don't I have this fuzzy memory, but no, man, that couldn't happen." And then laying there in that hospital bed, Walter Reed, with your little TV, and I could watch the news report of that helicopter crash.
One thing that golf taught me that I took through my whole life is play your game. When you're playing in a tournament, because I played in a lot of tournaments growing up, and even after the Army, I've still played tournaments from time to time. You never, ever play the guy next to you. You're never playing that guy. You're not playing anybody on that course.
Yeah.
You're playing your game.
Oh, they're going to go bad and
that's what you hope for.
Right.
That's what you hope for, because the bagpipe is such a finicky instrument. The tuning changes so quickly. There's 4 things that we have to tune on the bagpipe. Mm-hmm. Those pipes that sit up on the shoulders, there's 3 of them. There's 3 reeds, so 1 reed per pipe.
Right.
And then you actually have the chanter where the music is made. Mm-hmm. And there's another reed in there. And so with the changing climate, depending on if you're a wet blower, because some people are wet blowers.
But hit between myself and my rifleman. So he looked at me, I looked at him. Our eyes got wide, and it's like, basically, yeah, that just happened.
Is this
Blue side, he goes, "Hey," he's like, "You're a gunner?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "All right." He's like, "Real quick, we're gonna go into this village." He's like, "I'm gonna set you up." He's like, "And you're gonna hit any squirters that try to leave town." And I was like, "All right, cool, pretty easy." He's like, "Yeah, just stick next to me the whole time. I'll set you where you're gonna go."
You found her?
Oh man, me too. Are you kidding? I really truly believe I would not be alive. Like our deployment, right? There were some things that we went through. We're probably all lucky to be alive right now.
Absolutely.
Right?
Trying to, get this program up and running here to give soldiers, active duty, retired, disabled, veterans, maybe something they've been missing out in their lives.
Right. Hey, so what kind?
We got some, ACA certified instructors from Whitewater Express. We've got the Hargrove family that comes down. Their son's a just won, the world championships in kayaking.
Oh, man.
So we got a lot of awesome volunteers down here who just want to introduce the sport. If you like it, continue coming out. We've had some guys that came out and loved it. They bought gear. And we had some guys come out that said, maybe I'm a little more scared of water than I thought I was, but be in shape.
Mm-hmm. So I just continue that to this day, Yeah, that's my thing. It's a good escape. Kind of not an escape, but like it's I don't know. I just get in the zone in the gym.
Tapping my foot or petting my, I start doing, just like kind of nervous, anxious things.
What are you petting, dude?
Into my, you pet yourself, when you like just kind of rub your own finger. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, dude, that is so funny.
Yeah. They jumped on us right from the start.
Yeah.
Get your bag, why'd you get dress this? People running into each other. Running into drill sergeants. Did you just hit me, Private? No, beat your face. I'm scared.
I love that, dude.
I get the summers off with my kids, and I love what I'm doing when I'm teaching because those kids that I'm teaching are my kids too.
Yeah.
You are the surrogate parent to a lot of those kids, and you think about it on the math, depending on your school schedule, you are spending more time with those kids during their waking hours than their actual biological parents are.
Degree?
Yeah.
I don't need what I want to do. I don't need to step back and go to school for. I can just do it.
Yeah.
What are you doing now?
I'm farming.
Tell us about that, man.
Yes.
You were talking about the other night, and I'm excited to hear about it. So
cool. Yeah, I became a hippie.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, I became a hippie after the war, and I bought 2.5 acres outside of Perry, and I don't know if you're familiar with the term permaculture.
And something that I try to impart on a lot of veterans that I talk to either on the phone or come out here is that you should be really proud of your military service.
Yeah, absolutely.
And regardless of where your civilian service takes you, even if you end up being, the night stalking guy at FedEx, whatever, you earn that recognition and you don't hesitate to help, others around you.
That's a psychiatrist or any sort of mental health professional. Just think about the fact that your parents weren't perfect. And if you're a parent, you're not perfect. What are some things that maybe make people better that your parents just didn't know to do, or your leaders just didn't know to do? Why not go to somebody who can give you a study guide for life that can help you break it through to that next level without having to go 1,000 miles out of the way? They're going to give you that beeline direction and give you the tools to make you a better person and enrich your life. I think everyone needs to do that self-check and drop the ego.
Tell everybody where is CJ in 5 years? Where are you at, brother?
Oh man, I'm gonna be doing something crazy for sure. Like I'm always looking for my next big thing that I want to kind of tackle. I think after Rebreather's done, like I said, like June timeframe, I'll be down in Keys for a month. That's my main target right now. Once that's complete, I'm kind of spitballing a couple ideas, whether if I go back to paramedic school or finish out paramedic school, or I've even looked into going to like be a helicopter pilot, like getting some training there in Utah. So
I would say it's important to develop a plan, and if you need help in developing that plan, reach out to the organizations out there, from VFW to the VA to so many other veterans organizations, small, large, independent, nonprofit. And, we were at the VFW the other day, and we're sitting there for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and we get a couple numbers, so you don't have to really try that hard. I think that you gotta open up at some point.
50 to 100 meters. When we got about halfway, we heard a shot ring out. So it hit between myself and my rifleman. So he looked at me, I looked at him. Our eyes got wide, and it's like, basically, yeah, that just happened.
This is Doug, right?
Yeah, Fish Grunt. He was one of the guys, So we definitely got a bond like no other. So
I think Heart of Volunteer has so much potential to bring a lot of veterans together. A lot of contacts. People don't know what they're missing until they hear it.
Yeah.
So listen, man, what are you doing with your life? Okay, well, I'm doing this. All right, hey, I know somebody that can help you with this, help you with your medical problems, help you with the paperwork, talk to certain people about getting an award you missed or whatever it is. I definitely love to be a part of that.
A healthy command climate who cultivates a good program and says, hey, folks who need to go to counseling's fine, and then initiating and using modalities such as, hey, maybe you need to go get some massage therapy, maybe some acupuncture, maybe you want to do some yoga, maybe you want to do some yoga, maybe you want to do some group counseling. There's a ton of assets. I mean, heck, in
for example, you come back from Vietnam and you went through some horrible things. But you're sitting at the VFW talking to somebody that survived not only D-Day, but was still there for 3-4 years afterwards. Couple of Purple Hearts, seen every day something else even worse compounding. And it's not about comparing who got it worse, but it's hard to convey to his experience to, a D-Day guy. So they kind of congregated their own groups, and that's when
make that balance. And you look her in the eye and say, where do you want to go and what do you want to do? Because now she has a vote. In the military, those military spouses, they don't have a vote, sometimes. So in order to get that, you have to kind of look at them and sit there and say, what do you want to do? You sacrificed for me all these years. Now it's my turn to sacrifice for you. And just having that balance and that communication. But it's tough. It's never easy.
They called it, we always talked about the balloon going up because the world was going, if we ever fired one of them missiles, there wasn't going to be nothing bad.
Right.
And I told him, I said, if the balloon goes up, you're going to be the first son of a bitch I shoot. And he was kind of worried about that because he asked me about it later. And I told him, you damn right I'd have shot you. I said, you're the sorriest SOB I ever been around.
Huh.
And he kind of straightened out a little bit.
Yeah.
We got him one time. We
just about as rocky as Afghanistan itself. It definitely, I'm not going to sit here and lie. I had trouble coming back because, like I said, it was daily combat, and for me as a 19-year-old getting thrown into that, I think really it didn't affect me at all while I was over there. I was completely fine, but I think that's because it was so high speed. It was go all the time.
Yeah, it's right up your alley.
Something happened to one of my guys. We cry about it. We move on. It happens.
Big lessons learned. It would be whatever you deal with in life, however whatever the good and the bad that you've experienced, you can always use it and turn it into a positive force to get things done. And never, what I've learned also is there's people out there that'll help you. And you got to sometimes, for me, you have to sometimes set aside your pride, because if there's always people that really truly want to help. But if you always turn down their help, they will stop offering help.
That every day I had a backpack that I carry with me pretty much everywhere, and on the one of the handles I'd clip a carabiner that I had from the Army days that I wore in my tac vest, and that was like a talisman that was always visible, always present, that I would kind of fiddle with or just kind of look at, kind of remind me that I can do this. But what made Peace Corps difficult is kind of often is usually what makes it awesome.
All of a sudden, I look back and I'm like, holy shit, I made a change. And it started to make me feel good. And then I started thinking, all that shit in therapy where they say, it feels better if you get out and do things. And it did. And then I was like, dude, I don't want to be inside this house anymore. So I busted my ass outside on this yard. And my yard looks great now, man. And it became a project, became a focus. And I love it, dude. And I got that motivation from that program.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie. I had the motivation, but I didn't have the last push to do this until I mentioned it to a buddy of mine who's a veteran who had went through the exact same program.
All right. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, veterans, and all you beautiful, amazing people that love some veterans. Hey, welcome to the Half-Hundo. That's first 50, folks. We made it to 50 episodes. So hang on. Here we go. All right, folks. Hey, so on February 22nd, 2019, Josh Fisher and myself walked into the Paul Miller building on the campus of Oklahoma State University and recorded the very first episode of Heart of the Volunteer Veterans Podcast. It was rough. It was a lot of fun. We were in uncharted territory, a place neither one of us had ever been, and we had no plan. Now, we had met with Craig Freeman and Gina Noble a week before that, and they asked us if we could come on and do a couple episodes a month, 20, 30 minutes talking to veterans about college. And it just kind of went from there. So thank you to Max Andrews and Chris Notch, Top Notch there, for helping us out, getting us started, giving us advice and tips on how to make our show better. It's been a process, as you can probably hear from the beginning clip that was played. It sounds different across every segment. That's the evolution of the show. As we've gone through and figured things out, it's a evolution. So good stuff. So 33 veterans have come onto the show so far. 33 veterans. There's 34 clips in there in the intro, but 33 veterans that have come on. So thank you to the veterans that came on and co-hosted, came on and shared either what they got going on in their life, a great resource for veterans, or come on to talk about their military experience and the lessons they learned through the transition process of becoming a veteran. So I wanted to thank everybody for that. It's been a great time. Now, I just want to go through the names of the veterans that came on and kind of give some of our new listeners that maybe haven't got a chance to listen to all of them to kind of, you heard the clips at the beginning, and maybe that sparks you to want to go back and listen to their episodes. So I'll just kind of go through this. We had Brandon Harvey. He's going to be coming back on. But he was the SVO president here on campus. Christy Douglas, she was worked on Army boat teams. She's going to be coming back on too and giving talking to us about her college experience and how things have been going. Sergeant Major Anthony Annan, he came on and really blew it up. That was the longest episode that we've done so far, and it was very dense with a long career of service. So go back and listen to that episode. Great episode. John Ducky Reed, J.D. Wheeler, Anthony Doran. Now, folks, when Anthony Doran came on, our numbers were relatively low. We were very, very, very new to the whole process. I mean, in the month of March, we had 187 downloads. So we weren't well known. But when Anthony came on, he opened up the door. We instantly got a bump of about 200 people that came to the podcast for every episode after that. 200. The number just jumped. So great episode with Anthony Doran. Go back and listen to that episode. Great stuff, folks. Great stuff. Then we had Chase Jean came on, Veterans Business. Bobby Evans. Bobby Evans has actually been on a couple of times. And Bobby's going to come back on. He lives real close. So once our schedules link up, have him come back in and tell us what's been going on in his life. After that, we had Kyle Briggs. Then Steve Perchek. And Steve, 400 plus downloads for his episode. He's the leader when it comes to downloads of one single episode. He's got like 600 when you count his second episode he came on. But Steve lit the show Pennsylvania, blew Texas and California away for that month combined. So that's just proof of what happens when, a veteran comes on, their area lights up. So reach out to veterans in those cases. You can really start helping veterans out in your local area and attracting them to you so you can help them out and give them some good resources. From there, we started to kind of mess around with adding some more content. We started off with the weekly stand to, which ended up kind of evolving into the Monday mandatory motivation. And then we had the Hump Day episode, which is still there. It's the Wednesday episode, no big deal. We just kind of bring in some information, maybe something a little funny, help get us through the rest of the week. CJ Gates came on, and we're going to have CJ back on, see if he can't go down there and dive the Circle of Heroes down there in Florida and give us, some feedback of just what that looks like down there and the experience itself. And CJ's the kind of person to bring that information to us. Chris Tucker. Chris came on, talked to us about our summer plans. And also he and his brother came on and talked about their podcast, Breach Bolt Jungle. Great episode there. Brandon Bettis. Brandon came on and talked to us about finances and how to focus on your family. Your power is in your family. So, giving your family an opportunity to have a great life, especially after they followed you through your career. Excellent advice. Thank you, Brandon, for coming on. Gary Vashis and Bill Brody are two Vietnam era veterans that have come on. Gary was in Germany, and Bill was in Vietnam. Bill was actually injured, medevaced, and actually lost his leg. Bill is back there, and so is Gary, back in my hometown, in my county, and doing great things for the community. Big members of the community. In fact, Bill's got the All-American Beef Battalion. They've been serving thousands and thousands and thousands of active duty and veterans delicious steaks all across the country, doing amazing things. All-American Beef Battalion, folks, go listen to those episodes, the ones I've just mentioned, and catch up on what's been going on with these amazing veterans. From that point, the podcast took off to California. We got the Roadcaster Pro came in. We had absolutely nothing in the way of microphones. It was what I could scrounge up in the Stillwater area from the music places, and I took off. Jumped on the train, got out there. Marcus Maximus Miller and his wife, they allowed me to stay at their house and eat their chow and spoil their dog, and it was a great time. Had a great episode with Mark. He's got some great information. Go back and listen to his episode, and we're going to have Mark back on some more. He's got some more to share, especially after the movie Dune comes out. Mark and I are going to be doing a movie review of the new 2019 version of the movie Dune. Going to be a great episode. Lots of fun. From there, Brent Marino came on. That was a great episode. I love Brent to death. His little boy, the way he rocks his family, and just how in tune he is with what makes his life have purpose, and the way he attached himself to it. Excellent episode. Go back and check that out. We're going to have Brent on some more. He's got some great information to put out, and then updates to what's been going on out there in California. The last platoon sergeant that I ever had, Patrick Lisbon, I called him up when I was out there in California and said, Patrick, I need you to come on and help me with an episode. And without fail, Patrick jumped on and talked about the bonds that the military experiences that bond us to other veterans, and came on and really talked about some scenarios where him and another veteran, which will be coming on, Doug Fishgren, how they were bonded. So great episode. Go back and listen to that one there. You don't want to miss that. And then you got Alan Gutierrez. He was my last interview there in California. It's always good to sit down with Goots and talk. He's got a heart of rock and roll in service, and he's fired up out there in California, along with Brent and Mark, doing a lot of good work with veterans out there. So we'll be checking in with them and seeing how they're progressing out there. We jumped from there, came back, and we got with Byron Tashima. Talked to him out there in Vegas, and really got the download. Go check out, go listen to his episode, and also the Cannabis and Recovery for Veterans episode with Dwayne O'Keefe. Very, very funny episode. Then we had Derek Knapp. He's the in charge of Restoration Ranch down there in Bastrop, Texas. We're going to be having Derek come back on because he's got some new developments that are going on for veterans down there in the Texas area. He's very, very close hold with this, but we're going to have him come back on and talk to us about it and get the information out. All right. From there, we have Mark Manila. He came and talked to us about Team River Runner there at Fort Benning and how they offer free kayaking with equipment, resources, safety, instruction for active duty veterans, their families, to come out and just experience kayaking there and on a great water area that's been manipulated for kayaking. So go check that out, folks. And then remember, Team River Runners all over the country, except for in a couple of states. So if you're looking for something to do, reach out to them and, take maybe a couple of your kids out there and just get a little kayaking in for some fun. See if they maybe they like it. Sean Hess came on. He's a police officer there in Charlotte. Had a couple of conversations with Sean, and he's going to be working on an episode talking about military, veterans that come out that were MPs, and how the process of joining a police department in the United States. Of course, it varies across the states, across regions, but how you can use that military experience to get a foot in and make the transition into civilian law enforcement much smoother. So that's going to be a great episode, and thanks Sean for wanting to do that. After that, I traveled up to Kansas City, and we visited with Will O'Brien. Will was one of my company commanders, excellent friend. In fact, I found one of the books that he gave me about Caesar, and I'd read through that book about 2 times, maybe 1 3/4, somewhere in there. But I used a card that he had put in there as a note card, and as I was going through that book again yesterday, because I'm obviously in ancient philosophy, so I was going to pull that up and review some things, and I found that card from my first tour in Afghanistan. He had put a note in there. So that's the kind of person that Will is. And if you listen to his episode, folks, you'll notice that he's doing the same thing with kids as a teacher. His passion for teaching is very evident. And if you've got that passion, listen to that episode, because Will fire you up. All right. Thanks again, Will, for coming on, and we're gonna have you back on and have some more fun. Michael Hodges. Hey, Michael comes on and blows the door up. He works for Wounded Warrior. He's an advisor for them. Listen to his episode. He's got a great message about connecting the community, okay, and trying to get over the suicides that have been plaguing us for so long. So listen to Michael's episode. Once again, solid episode. From there, we had Luke Davis came on. Now, we've got an update on Luke. Luke got with Sean and asked him about, getting into law enforcement and asked him some questions about it. Now, if you listen to Luke's episode, you notice that, Luke has service, built into him. He wants to serve, and he likes that high speed stuff too. So, he's in the academy now. So we'll have Luke on once he gets done and gets settled in, and we'll get an update from him. Dwayne O'Keefe, if you listen to Dwayne's episode, you probably listened to it a couple of times. Great episode, great American, great friend, and not only a friend to me, but a super friend to veterans. He's had a come to veteran moment over the last couple of months, courtesy of one of his good friends, Josh Pence. And now Dwayne is a force to be reckoned with out here. So we're definitely going to be having Dwayne on. He loves to come on the podcast, and we love to hear what he has to say. So we'll keep doing it. From there, I made a call over to Edinburgh, Scotland, and caught up with Carl McBride. He was over there for the Highland Games, the bag and drum competition. Brought his team over from New Mexico, and they were over there competing. And Carl took a little bit of time out from their practice while they were letting their bags condition out of the weather. Sounds so funny still, but he talked to us about what it takes to keep one of those bagpipes in tune. And we're going to have Carl back on because I love the way Carl just the kind of person he is, and he's always fun to visit with. So another great episode. Tyson Bolstman came on. Play your game. Excellent episode. Listen to it because Tyson is a funny guy, but he also has excellent insight. And here's the other thing, folks. Tyson is a younger veteran. And you can tell the difference kind of by the age and how they deliver it. We're getting good diversity across here, minus the fact that we've only had one female veteran come on. Christy, thank you for being that one that's come on. So, ladies, we're looking for more. Give a shout out if you think coming on the show and co-hosting with me is going to be a hindrance. I would love to have a conversation and help smooth that over. And if that doesn't work, heck, I'll even bring Christy on and have Christy do the interview if that's what it takes. I just want to get the word out, folks. I just want to get the word out. So reach out. Let me know. All right. Hey, from there, we had Evan McDonald came on, and Evan came on for just a short episode. He wanted to talk about a situation that happened to him, during one of his deployments, IED blast, getting medevaced, his medevac aircraft shot down, barely made it inside the wall of Balad, and being the only survivor from that. So listen to that episode, folks. And then Evan's going to be coming back on some more because he's got some great perspective on what's going on out there with veterans, especially those veterans that like to get in the outdoors. Evan's got some great tools for that. Pat Russell came on. Pat's been on a couple of times now. Pat came on with for our rock and roll episode, and he got the SGB, the Stellium Ganglion Block, and we talked to him about exactly what that did for him on his first injection, when he started to feel it start to wear off, and what the effects were, and then what the effects were after he got the second injection, and now how he's feeling. Is it starting to really take hold? We're going to have him on some more. We're going to talk about. We're going to document this as best we can, so other veterans can get an idea if this is going to be an effective treatment for their symptoms of PTSD. So stick with that episode if you need that. In our last episode, we had episode 49, Ted Doc Snyder. Ted came on and really explained to everybody, don't isolate yourself. Get out there, be active, be engaged with other veterans, with your family members, with life. Engage in it. That is the difference. A lot of veterans can learn from that. So we've had some excellent episodes, folks. We've had 33 amazing veterans that have come on and really shared a part of their life with every veteran out there that's willing to listen. So thank you again for the veteran co-hosts that have come on. I'm looking forward to the next 50. All right, so hey, let's talk about exactly kind of like podcast trends. So as of right now, what I'm reading online is 700,000 podcasts exist worldwide. That's this year. 29 million episodes. Now, there are 700,000 out there, but there's a trick to that. There's this thing called pod fade, and it typically occurs around episode 7. 50% of podcasts will pod fade around that point. 25% of those who make it out of there extend their content into new content. So instead of taking interviews from season 1 and applying them to like season 3 or the end of season 2, or, taking clips from a bunch of episodes and making a series or one episode or something like that. We're talking about podcasts that have new content every episode. So only 25% continuously update their content. And here's the big thing, folks. And I think we kind of realize that with sometimes, we've got 50 episodes, 33 veterans have come on, which means there's been places where either Josh and I did episodes or I did episodes. That was the only way that we could keep content going. But that's the whole thing. The reality is that it's very time consuming. Granted, you're only putting out a 30-minute episode, but if you're trying to bring veterans on, you're doing 30, 40 minutes of talking prior to that, then coming on, getting some time to come on and actually do the recording. Sometimes it just doesn't work with the veteran on the other end. So when you hear an episode where it's just me, or it's just another veteran that's just talking, it's just because it's time restraints for kind of everybody involved. The other part of that is building your audience. It takes time. It takes months and even years. You got to figure in March, we had 187 downloads. In April, 315. And then, we started to break into, better audio quality, extension from shares, people liking it is starting to kind of catch on. People were thinking, in April, yeah, the sound's okay, but the content's good. Loving the veterans that are coming on, and it just kind of caught a hold. So May, 986, June, 1044, July, 1444, 42, and then August, 1801. So big month of August, which is, it comes down to the shares. It's the shares, and it's the veterans coming on that are guiding the show. So approximately 6,000 downloads, approximately 150 subscribers on Podbean, 95 approximately on Apple. I don't know what the subscription rate is on anything else. 1,100 followers on Facebook. All those numbers are great, folks. I'm not a numbers person, so I throw those out there for people just to know. But other than that, the numbers don't mean anything. And I figured that out after the first veteran reached out to another veteran after an episode and asked for help. That is the mark. The veterans that we reach, the veterans that we can help, that's the mark. I'm not worried about the downloads. If a veteran downloads this thing just by accident, or somebody he or she's having a rough time, and a veteran sends them a link, hey, listen to this episode, and they listen to it, and it helps them, that one veteran has made all of this worth it. That's just the way I feel. Other people may be like, that's a lot of time you're spending for one person. But that's what we do here. We put our effort. And the thing is, if we spread the effort around to other veterans give 30 minutes of effort. They can help a handful of veterans with that 30 minutes. We're here to maximize our effort as a community in trying to bring us together. It's easy, folks. It's easy. It really is. It's a no-brainer. Okay. Now, when we look across the landscape, we've got, of course, we got United States leading out, Ireland, Germany, Canada, downloads as far as Australia, UK, Spain, North Korea, Brazil, Poland. California is leading the states for downloads. It's the largest state, followed by Texas, largest state, very, very large veteran populations. Oklahoma, of course, the podcast is in Oklahoma. So, driving around, people see it, talking to people, which just tells me word of mouth and, getting on like your local areas like buy, sell, trade, no restrictions, and just dropping episodes on there and letting some of those veterans out there that are trying to sell stuff, trying to buy stuff, hey, what is this? Listen to it. And now we got another veteran and their family that are listening to the episodes, maybe reaching out and wanting to come on with some great information to share for veterans. So continue to share it, folks. That's how we're reaching folks. All right. Kansas after Oklahoma, then Pennsylvania. Of course, Pennsylvania is still riding that wave coming off Steve Perchek. He lit that state up. That tells you, folks, what happens when you share. Steve shared that thing because he's proud of his message. He's aware of his road that he traveled, and he wanted to get that message out. He's still getting the message out. He's still on fire. So great effort on the shares, and we even got Wyoming. They got one download, but hey, Wyoming's still rocking it. They're still in the game, so we'll keep giving them some love, and hopefully we can get some more downloads from them. The high city or hamlet or villa is Stillwater, Oklahoma. Out of all the towns and cities, they have the most downloads of any place. So once again, we're right here, and we have a great following here in Stillwater. I guess they like the podcast. If you're a veteran here in Stillwater, you can always come in the booth, and we'll do a face-to-face. It's a lot of fun. All right, folks. Hey, I wanted to play a couple of clips. I had a couple of veterans I reached out to. I reached out to a bunch and see if they wanted to come on. And I got a hold of a few. So the first one I got a hold of was Dwayne. Dwayne's going to talk to us about his experience coming on the podcast. So here we go. Take a listen.
My experience with the podcast has been very positive for me in multiple ways. Because one, I was kind of like absorbed in my own little world and cut off from everybody. And I would just do my own thing. I would hang out with my family and all that stuff, but I wouldn't communicate with anybody that I knew that I was served with. And then, one day, Josh Penn sent me a message on LinkedIn, because that was the only real social media that I would use just to, for employment and things like that. Hey, check out this podcast. And it was Chris Noah's old Hard Dog had his podcast. And so I was like, you know what? And it's funny though, because me and Chris had some beef before. And, when I kind of mentioned it to him that, all that stuff's irrelevant because we all have shared experiences and things of that nature that we kind of, that we can benefit from helping each other and get over those things. Because when you hang on to stuff, it just eats you up. And so I listened to it, and it took a while. It took like a couple months, I think, for me to really come on, because you invited me on. And then it just kind of blew up. You said, hey, I want you to open up a Facebook account, because I've been really anti-social media, closed off. Because a lot of the times, the memes are just really annoying. But I learned you can just block that shit for 30 days and be fine.
Right.
Because people put dumb shit. They're like, man, come on, man, you sound so ignorant. But it really opened me back up to people that I knew, and it was really, I always thought that I always had a lot of regret on my, the things, the way I treated people, and how I wasn't very compassionate, and I was kind of really an asshole. And they don't care anymore. They just want to say hello and see how you're doing, and they want to share their lives with you after their service. And you can see how much people have grown, and people have families, and they're getting older, they're getting fat, which I try to get them to stay in shape. That's my thing. I want veterans to stay in shape, because it's not only good for your body. If you're wounded, you have injuries, strengthening your muscle will increase, your functionality, but also it's good for your mind. But it opened the world back up to me, and then I came on the second time, and we talked about the benefits of cannabis, which has this ugly stigma, and there's side effects to everything. Alcohol is ugly, but it doesn't work for vets. I mean, we all know that.
Right.
But then people started reaching out to me more and more, and listening to the podcast, and it's just they're saying, hey, thank you, or they're asking for advice. And I don't want to give anybody, I'm not trying to give anybody medical advice, but I'm just trying to give them some experience, shared experience, or, that I have that worked for me, that maybe they might want to try. Or just let them know, hey, there's resources out there for you, and just to be an ear. And because I was never that way. I would close myself off, and people needed something, I wouldn't be there for them. And now I got people communicate with me daily. I mean, daily, several times a day in some cases. Which, but I feel almost obligated to respond. And, and like we mentioned earlier, was, friendship takes effort. And I didn't want to give that effort before. And so now I'm giving that effort. And I think the benefit that this has all had for me is that it's actually made me kind of a better person. I think a better veteran, to helping other veterans out. Yeah. This sounds kind of cliche, but it's true. And really, I have personal experience that people will say they care about us, but they don't. And people will say they want to help us, but they won't. We have to help each other. And because we know, based off experience, shared experience, what we're going through, how we think, right? And those of us that have failed in the civilian world and have recovered from it, we can teach others, like me getting fired from where I worked. There's a reason why, and it's because of the mentality that I had. In the military, it just didn't work out here. And people will say they want to help you, but they really don't. And they're actually kind of scared of you. And I experienced that quite a bit. So, it's just something that we can educate each other on. And I think that's the benefit of it, man. And, for the future of this podcast, in my opinion, is we get more and more veterans on there. We get more and more experience. We get more and more shared experience.
Hey, folks. Hey, Dwayne. And if you listen to Doc Snyder's episode, the isolation will get you. If you take yourself out of the equation, out of the lives that you were involved in, you're going to end up hurting yourself. Come back to the community at least a little bit. Reach out, figure out, see what people are doing, and take a different perspective on it. It's not a different version of military unit. It's a different environment. It's a different setting. And it's people just evolving into their lives. It's the day to day that transforms us into what we are. So get out there, folks, and don't isolate yourself. Don't isolate yourself. It doesn't do yourself or anybody else any good. All right. Dwayne's going to be coming back on. I like it. I like sitting with Dwayne and talking. We get along real well, and we see things different, which is good because we bring on a different view onto the show. So that's always a good thing. Hey, after that, folks, I called up Sean Hess and see what he thought about coming on the podcast. I didn't know what I would get, but it was a very good call, and here we go.
Your podcast, I mean, has lit a fire under my ass. I mean, before the podcast, I had a itch to help vets, who are dealing with, suicidal situations and whatnot. But after the podcast and listening to all these vets that came out and, dealing with different issues of it, it cemented that, that feeling that want to help individuals, even more so in my daily activities. I dealt with a guy who, came in via the crisis helpline that, supposedly wanted to shoot himself. And, when I went out there, it was just a matter of talking to him. You know what I mean? Like, he just wanted to, explain, what was going on with a certain female aspect in his relationship. He was having a bad day with an ex, and, the words that he said came out wrong, and, went from there. And at the end of the day, we ended up shaking hands, thanking each other for our service. I recommended him to your podcast. And when we closed the door, he was listening to an episode. I mean? And it's just, it's one of those things, like, it burns in you, man. Like, especially being a vet, trying to help other vets.
Right.
You know what I mean? And, it's sometimes it's painful. Sometimes it's tough. You still got a job to do at the end of the day. You know what I mean? But, you're trying to help them as much as you can,
You're doing great work, brother.
I try.
Hey, folks, let me say something about Sean. Okay. Sean has a very, very difficult job. In the region of the country that he's in, there's tough policing going on there. But he's applying veterans. He's applying his job, his ability in his job to focus on veterans during it. And I think if we look at Sean and we pick up the challenge of this, if Sean's out there trying to keep, everybody safe, but Sean's, out there on patrol on the other side of the city, and he hears a call about a veteran with ideations. And he zooms across the city, talking the whole time, so he can get there to try to help out a veteran. If we can do that in our own lives, in the little things that we do, making it where what we do is we can still reach out to veterans and apply our livelihood to them and helping them in some way. I think there's a way, folks. If you look at what you do and how you can apply it to veterans, I think you can add another layer of helping veterans, of being in veterans' lives by using your career. You can look at Sean was doing it again. Like I said, Luke Davis is in the academy. He spoke with Sean, and Sean Bridges actually were able to work with him and get him moving. So work together, folks. Use your experiences. It may not be the veteran that's standing next to you that needs your help. That your experience in life probably won't affect the guy or the gal right next to you. But the guy or gal, the veteran that's on the other side of them that can't see you but can hear you, you could change their life. All right, folks. Hey, once again, I want to thank all the veteran co-hosts that have come on. I want to thank all the listeners, and I want to thank all the supporters, the ones that are out there that say, hey, I'm not going to come on the show, but I'm going to share it. And if you need anything from me, I'm going to help you. Thank you for you two. You know, you guys and gals support the show, and the veterans coming on make the show what it is. Keep sharing your lives with each other, and remember, it's not just about the podcast. The podcast is not the only resource out there. This is a very thin layer of the onion. There's other things out there, folks. We're going to keep bringing those to you so you can engage in those and change your life. And once you get that change done, come back to the show. Tell us about it so other veterans can learn and grow from it also, and we can keep multiplying and multiplying and multiplying and helping as many as we possibly can. We're doing whatever it takes here, folks. We love veterans because we are veterans, and it's what we do. Hey, everybody, have a great week. Dominate it. Once again, cheers to win. All right, peace. Heart of a Volunteer, copyright 2019. What country was on there? That's ridiculous. Somebody tell me who shouldn't have been on there.